Namaste and welcome to this post-run yoga. I'm not going to call it a workout because it's really a wind down. So you've just come in from your run. Probably your legs are just a little bit tired and achy. Let's see if we can work out some of those areas of tension or things that cause us to be stiff in the next few days, without losing that great rush of endorphins and that great energy that you've got going on right now. So come to sitting down on your mat or in your yoga space. If you can't sit cross-legged, then you can easily just extend your legs out in front of you. Keep your knees a little bit soft if you want to. It will work. All of the things we do will work just as well in this position. Or you can lengthen your legs and keep your knees a little soft if you want to. So, coming to sitting, let's just take a moment to bring ourselves into this space. So sitting tall, if you need a cushion or something underneath your bottom to give you a bit of lift. We're going to use this block later on. You can sit on it for now if you would like. So lengthening, feeling the connection of the sitting bones and the buttocks and the tops of the legs perhaps down. The edges of the feet, edges of the legs if you sit in a different position. And then lifting away from the floor, not in a rigid way of holding, but just in that way of resisting gravity. Resting your hands anywhere that's comfortable. Close your eyes if you feel comfortable doing that, but if you prefer, you can just gaze at one point. Take a moment to feel how your body feels right now. Which areas of the body are making themselves known? Perhaps they are feeling tender or tight or fatigued. Perhaps you're aware of places that feel like you've energized them, created space, lengthened them. Just making notes. There's no right or wrong way to feel here. Noticing if you're carrying tension in your jaw or your mouth, your tongue, your neck. Swallow once or twice. Try to let that tension go, softening your forehead, the area around your eyes as well. Become aware of your spontaneous breath, just the breath that you find yourself breathing right now. And then you can gently deepen your breath, breathing deeply into the sides of the body, the upper back, the chest. As you exhale, gently engaging your navel towards your spine to press a little extra air out of the lungs. Breathing deeply in, sides of the body, collarbones, shoulder blades. Breathing out, gently engaging your navel at the end of the exhalation. Deep breaths. And as you breathe, be happy in the knowledge that you're drawing in energy, prana, vitality for healing and restoring. One more deep breath in. And as you exhale this time, just drawing your chin a little bit towards your chest, allowing your breath to remain in a nice rhythm, and take your right ear towards your right shoulder, chin to chest, left ear to left shoulder. So a little bit to either side. If your neck feels good and you enjoy it, you can take your chin up. So you make more of a circular motion. Just avoid dropping your head behind your body. If you're circling, be sure to go in both directions. Beginning to feel the connections between the head, the neck, the chest, the shoulders, the upper back. Coming back to center, raising your head, opening your eyes if they're still closed, and rolling your shoulders. Doing a little rolling here in both directions. And we're going to try and increase our movements a little bit. So if you keep your elbows nice and soft, you can do one at a time. Just making larger circles with the elbow. And as you do that, your arm movements are so connected to your torso. You so feel that your torso can move if it wants to, moving your side, your chest, your head, your neck. Let's go in the opposite direction as well. Resting the legs while we do this, it's quite nice. And doing the other side as well. So just soften that elbow. Feel perhaps anywhere that you're stuck or tight after your run, just allowing it to, those areas, allowing a little softness, a little mobility, a little space to come there, going in both directions. And at the same time, freeing the torso and the head to move with this movement, if you want to. And then just using your arms, moving in any way that feels comfortable. Perhaps you want to do a little side bending here. Open that space across the pelvis and the hip. You can move to both sides. Explore, you know yourself, your body. Explore what feels good. Perhaps a little twisting feels good. Perhaps a little folding. Maybe folding over one leg, doing a little sway, folding over the opposite leg for the same thing. And let's bring our legs into the movement now. So extending through your legs, I'll turn slightly sideways so you can see, keeping the knees soft and rolling the feet at the ankles so that your knees roll apart and then together. And as you do this, perhaps you feel also that your pelvis wants to move, and that wave will come up your back, and we can also move in our arms as we allow ourselves to enjoy this movement. You can go in both directions, rolling the thigh bones in the hip sockets, lubricating those sockets. They may not need much more lubricating, but perhaps a little bit of softening of the structures here. Very good. And then bending in your left leg, keeping your right leg extended. And we're just gently going to fold a little. So we're folding a little bit to the right. It doesn't matter how you get there. You don't have to go really very far. Supporting the fold with your hands and gently moving, snaking or swaying the body from one side to the other. We'll do the same thing over the left knee. So lifting and then folding a little bit forward and just experiencing how that feels maybe differently on this side. Very good. And I like to do it with a little bit with both legs folded in the center. So here the right leg is folded in front of the left leg, doing a little leaning forward and snaking, perhaps a little bit more to one side and then the other. And then extending the left leg out and first turning to the left, doing our snaking movement. The hips don't have to stay still. You can lift the buttocks one and then the other. And then the other side as well. Just a little exploration of length. So when you're running, all of those muscles, particularly the muscles of the posterior chain, can get very bunchy. They can get very contracted and strong. So then folding the left leg in first, and leaning slightly forward for a little bit of a shimmer and a snake. If you want to do a little bit more to one side than the other, you can. And when you're ready, coming back to center. Stirring your upper body by holding onto your knees or your legs and just allowing your body to sway around from the center. Again, you can lift one hip or one buttock and then the other. It's not a problem at all. If you can, as you lean back, open your chest, open your chin. As you fold forward, you can allow the head to fold forward a little as well. Let's go in the opposite direction too. Just a little massage on the gluteus muscles. And when you're ready, coming back to center. So hopefully you feel a little bit limbered, and we're going to come down now to lying on the back. So often runners think that pigeon would be a really nice way to release after a run, and pigeon's great, but it's better after an active yoga practice where the body is really prepared for it. We're going to do a reclining version in just a moment. So that block that you've got, just place it somewhere that's handy. I'm going to put mine over the top of my head. It could be a sturdy book or even a large cushion, I think probably would do. And we're going to begin by drawing the knees into the chest one at a time. And you can hold onto your knees to begin with, just gently swaying from side to side. And when you're ready, you can maybe begin to make circles with the knees. So I like my knees to go in opposite directions, but if you want your knees to go in the same direction, that's okay. Whichever way around you're going, make sure that you reverse it. Lovely job. And then we're going to let the knees go so that they can find their own way. So allow your legs to explore a little bit their relationship with the pelvis, with the hips. And if you're going in one particular direction, going in a different direction as well, or the other direction. And then gently bringing the knees towards you. We're going to bring the knees absolutely together, the feet together as well. Keep the hands on the knees and make the smallest circles that you can, going in one direction. It'll be a real, really subtle movement. And then in the opposite direction as well. Just massaging that sacroiliac joint behind the body. Floating the feet down to the floor one at a time, taking the feet really, really wide. And we're going to let the arms rest away from the body here as well and sway the knees from side to side. So the feet are wide, the toes can even be turned out a little if that suits your knees and your hips better. And we're not aiming to get anywhere in particular, so just allowing your knees to make the movements that feel good to them. Next time your knees are down on your left side, just allow them to rest wherever they get to. If this doesn't feel so good for your knees, you can support underneath your thighs or underneath your knees with some kind of support to leave the knees in place with perhaps a few cushions. You can try flexing your feet. Sometimes that helps as well. Not too flexed, don't grip. And then we're going to reach the right hand over to the left hand so that the whole of the upper back on the right side is off the floor, resting the head to the floor. Reach the right hand over your head as if you were drawing a circle on the floor, allowing your body to roll back to the floor. And then we're going to roll the hand all the way over again. So making big circles on the floor. I've put my block in the way, moving it out of the way. And one more this way. When your right arm rests down beside your right ear, just leaving it on the floor. So left arm is out to the side, right arm is over the head. And here, if you can, just allow the weight of the right leg to draw the inner right thigh and the inside of the right foot towards the floor. If that feels good, you can perhaps give a little bit of effort to draw those areas towards the floor. And if that feels good and you're not feeling it in your knee, there's no twist, there's no stretch there across the knee, then you can rest the left foot on top of the right thigh to draw that leg even further towards the floor. And just experience that sort of lengthening, opening stretch across the right side of the body for a deep breath in and a deep breath out. I'm going to uncross the legs if they're crossed. Bring the hands back to, arms back down to the sides and the knees back to center. Just do a light sway from side to side, just not going too far. And then we'll do the same thing to the opposite side. So letting the knees come down on the right side, leaving them wherever they get to, reaching the left hand over to the right hand. And we're going to reach that arm all the way up and over the head. So we're making a nice big circle with the arms. Every time you reach the left hand to the right hand, you draw the left shoulder blade to the left side of the upper back off the floor. And when your left arm comes by your left ear this time, just releasing the back of the left shoulder blade into the floor. Left arm is over your head, right arm out at shoulder height, and allow gravity to draw the inner left thigh towards the floor, the inside of the left foot. If that feels comfortable, then you can maybe use a little bit of extra effort to press the inner left thigh or the inner left foot towards the floor. And if you have no sensations in your knee and you want to give it a little bit more, you can rest your right foot on top of your left thigh. Not the knee, on the thigh. Taking a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Just experiencing that stretching, that opening. And when you're ready, you can release the legs, bring the arms back to center, the knees back to center. And again, taking a moment to gently sway the knees from side to side. Now we're going to bring the feet a little bit closer towards the buttocks, elbows down by the sides with the palms facing across the body. Press into the backs of the arms, into the feet, and peel the hips up off the floor. Again, you're not trying to get anywhere in particular. It's not about making a back bend. We're just lifting enough so that we can circle the hips like we're hula hooping. So hula hooping your hips in one direction and the other. Keep working a little bit into the backs of the arms, elbows, and even press the back of the head gently down as well to release the neck. Coming back to center and floating the hips all the way down. We're going to release our legs long now and release our arms up towards the ceiling, and at the same time sway your hands and your feet from side to side. So just like you're waving up at the ceiling, waving your feet as well. And then rolling the ankles and the wrists. Very good. Super. And then bending your knees back in. Let's take the right leg over the left leg first. We're going to come into pigeon pose, reclining pigeon pose. And this one is really useful after a run. But if your legs are tired, you might want a belt, or you might want to use your hands around the back of your left thigh to draw your left knee towards you. If you're able to do it without, it's a freer motion. It's a more you can access more parts of the movement without holding on. So swaying your left knee and your right leg will follow from side to side. Allowing your arms to relax, your upper body to relax. When you've done a few from side to side, you can make the motion into a circle if that feels good to you. and in both directions. And then when you're ready, you can float your left foot down to the floor. And here, keeping your right leg where it is, just allow the left knee to go down on the right side of the body. No, left knee to go down on the left side of the body. And if it feels comfortable, you can look to your right. If you prefer to look to your left or to keep the head neutral, you can. Take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. You might find here that adjusting the position of your knees is useful. So if you want to try, you can let your left leg extend a little bit away from you and see if that's more useful for your hips. For me, that then becomes not even a stretch at all. Or you can bring your left knee towards your left hand, and then perhaps that feels differently. For me, that moves the twist and the length a little bit higher up into the twist comes higher up into my torso, the length comes more towards the inner thigh. So find the position that's useful, or use more than one position. And then when you're ready, you can bring your feet back to neutral, uncross the legs. And this time we're going to reach the feet and the arms up towards the ceiling. Doesn't matter if your legs are straight or not, rolling the wrists, rolling the ankles, turning as if you were waving your palms and soles of the feet. Then when you're ready, you can bend your knees again. Take the left foot over the right thigh. And here we want to, when we come into pigeon here, we want to make sure that the ankle is free. So we're not leaning onto the outside edge of the foot. The ankle is free to move. Using a belt or your hands, or just your effort to bring your right knee towards you and swaying from side to side. And if you have sensitive knees, a little flexion in the feet can help here. Doesn't need to be as flexed as they go, just a little active flexion. Once you're ready, you can make circles. If it feels good to do that, massaging the low back, the top of the pelvis, maybe a little bit even into the waist, going in both directions. And then when you're ready, you can float your right foot to the floor. Keep your legs where they are. Just let your right knee come down to the right side. Left leg will follow. And here, turning to look at the left hand if you'd like to. But you can keep your head neutral if you prefer, or turn it to the other side. And often I find in practice that most people have one side that their neck is more comfortable on. It doesn't matter what the rest of their body is doing. So it doesn't matter if you look in the same direction on both sides. If you want to explore here how it feels to have the right knee further away from the right hand, maybe that's useful for you, or the right knee a little bit further towards the right hand, then choosing the spot that works the best for you, or exploring several spots within that range of movement. All the while we keep our face nice and relaxed. If you find tension in your neck and your jaw, just swallow. Let the tongue relax. And when you're ready, you can come back to center. Uncross the knees. We take the feet wide, elbows down, palms facing. Peel the lower back off the floor and make some more of those lovely hula hooping circles. And in the opposite direction. And releasing down. So often people want to do some sort of hamstring stretch, and that's okay. Hamstrings, there are 3 of them. They attach in different places, and so the very classic hamstring stretch of doing something like this and then not doing anything else isn't always so very useful to find that length in the hamstrings. So what we're going to do is bend the left knee And keep the right leg as straight as you can and make nice big circles with the right leg. So you can keep the knee soft if you need to, that's not a problem at all. But find that sort of range of movement. And you can go in the opposite direction as well, so that you're moving, lengthening not just one hamstring, but across all of the hamstrings. Very good. Same thing on the other side, just making nice big circles, feeling the stability of using your other leg for support. You can use your arms out to the side for support if you need to. And going in both directions, making sure that you're using your abdominal muscles. If you feel any clonking or clicking, so my hip clicks in this direction, then try to work around it. Don't press through it. Work with it or around it. And then coming back to center. Now we're going to take our block for our final bit of practice and place the block underneath the back of the pelvis. So the feet are on the floor, lifting the pelvis, resting the back of the pelvis on the block. Now, if you want some guidance there, you don't want the block too high up, so we don't want to get into the softer part up towards the waist, and we don't want the block to be so low down that just the buttocks are on it. We want to support that bony structure called the sacrum that joins the two hips behind the body. And just take a moment here, maybe lengthen your legs away from you, your feet away from you a touch. Take a moment to allow your spine to find this new alignment. And then if you'd like to, you can extend your legs here and extend them wide so that they're not together and that the toes can fall out to the sides. And that really opens up this, the hip flexor area, or the iliopsoas hip flexor area. There are other hip flexors as well. And this space at the front of the pelvis, across the bottom of the abdomen. And if that feels good, that might be great for you. If you feel like you have got some more space to explore, but this isn't getting it, then you can bend your knees in. And if you've got a yoga block in particular, you can turn it to a higher orientation. I wouldn't use its highest one, I'd use the medium one next. And then making sure it's nice and secure where you are. First start with your feet on the floor but extended slightly away from you. Make sure it feels comfortable to have your weight down into the block here. And then if it does, you can extend your legs. If you have problems with one hip and you think it's to do with sacroiliac joints, SI joints can sometimes get a little bit loose if you have been through many childbirths, or if you have, in my case, did a lot of yoga when you were pregnant, and for all sorts of other reasons, then there is a way to sort them out with this posture. But I'm not going to teach it today, but if you need that, comment and I'll pop a video up for you on that. Just taking a few deep breaths. If you're on a higher orientation of your block, now you're going to bring your feet in and just lower yourself down. And if you're on a lower orientation of the block and your feet have been extended, your legs have been extended for some time, you might want to bend them in now. You don't have to. Take another couple of deep breaths. Then when you're ready, bending your knees in, lifting your hips only enough to slide the block out, and then release your hips down and don't move until your body is settled into this new orientation. Sometimes you get the feeling of the back of the body almost descending through the floor. It's such a lovely release. If you want to, you can extend the legs for a moment. And then when you're ready, bending your knees into your chest, hugging them towards you. We're going to rock backwards and forwards through the length of the spine. So we want to rock from tailbone to shoulder blades, backwards and forwards. Every time we come up, maybe catching just a moment of balance on the sit bones or the buttocks. When you've done a few of those, coming up into sitting. I seem to be sitting now with direct sunshine in my face, so I'll move to one side. So hopefully that has allowed you to feel all lengthened and stretched out. And I hope that that is the perfect way to end your day of running and awesomeness. And I will wish you namaste. Hope to work with you again sometime.